Zeppelin was constant. You know, from the moment it got where it got in 1970, it was there until 1980. You know, there was no wavering, there was no #2 albums, there were only #1 albums, and I think that's something that was far more prominent with Zeppelin than any other band. They developed very fast. I think from the onset, Jimmy had a real vision of how he wanted the band to be, but very quickly, all three members, you know, really joined in on that type of ethic that he wanted. And from '69 onwards, it was a bit of a whirlwind. I mean, you've got the first album, which, you know, just took everyone by storm. I think by the time you get to, you know, '72, they are on the crest of a wave, and, you know, they can do anything they want to do, and that's exactly what they did. I think they were very relaxed with themselves and happy to turn themselves on. The fact that the audiences were with them, you know, was really evident. The critics weren't. You know, I think houses didn't go down too well in certain areas. It came out in the spring of '73, just as though they're about to go on tour in America, which proved to be their most amazing tour so far. 66 dates, I think it was, sold out everywhere, finished with the 3 days in Madison Square Garden. It was the point where Led Zeppelin elevated from being a mere rock band, particularly in America, to being a global sensation, you know, and I think that is the point where it really begins to go real mega. Every act they signed, they had a vested interest in for whatever reason. Bad Company was an obvious one because of Paul Rodgers, you know, Mick Ralphs. It was very much, you know, an English rock thing. So I think all the acts came by association. The Pretty Things was another one. Seasoned, you know, guys from the '60s, you know, which Jimmy had worked on. He'd done some sessions with them, which is why you get a situation where the Pretty Things, who no one had heard of for 4 or 5 years, are suddenly out there with 2 albums and, you know, got tours in the States again. So I just think it was about control, it was about putting their house in order, and just doing what they wanted to do. And that was very much a Zeppelin ethic. You know, this is us, this is how we do it, we don't care about anybody else. And I think Peter Grant in particular, you know, in particular, had a very strident view of that. He took care of everything else but the music. And that really obviously benefited the, you know, sort of creative process, because there was no outside sort of hindrance at any point when they were recording. It was, you know, it was them doing what they do. He would take care of everything else, and he was influential in that. And he was a pioneer, I think, in terms of making sure the artists kept their money, because at the time, Led Zeppelin kept more money than most, because he was very clever at doing that. As a live act, there was an on-stage chemistry between the 4 of them. I mean, you know, there really was. And the other very crucial point is that all their songs played live expanded in a very different way every night. So if you were watching Dazed and Confused on one particular gig, it wasn't going to sound like that the next gig. And that was the beauty of Zeppelin, was the experimentation.
Do it, do it.
Anything can happen. Total spontaneity between 4 creative, you know, musicians that really had a telepathic, you know, chemistry, which I think every night, you know, it could go in on, you know, any direction. You never knew what you were going to get at any one time, and that was a creative spark that kept them going and kept the audience coming back.